Right, good day Junior Tuckies, and welcome to this video dealing with question 1 of the worksheet. My name is Mr. P. I'm going to be taking you through this section, so stick with me and we'll work through this question 1 together. The first thing we see over here in question 1, and hopefully we've identified it straight away as a bacterium, a typical bacillus structure that we see over here, is before we start answering the questions we get context first, because we're not too sure what questions are coming. So we look at the diagram or the image that we're given, whether it be a table, a graph, or in this case an image, particularly now of a bacillus. We get context first. So we get given limited information here. So it says it's a diagram of a bacterial cell. Okay, great. So it tells us there that this is a bacterial cell, and we have a number of labels that we need to identify. Now, before I look at the question, let's see if we can identify the labels that we see in front of us now. So we see A, which points to the slime layer. We see B, that's the layer just underneath that slime layer, which we know to be the cell wall. We see that we have the cell membrane just under that. And then we move into the cytoplasm, label D. E, the nucleic acid or the genetic material. In this case, it could be either DNA or RNA. We can't be certain. Looking at the picture here, we see label F, the ribosome, and then G, the flagella. Okay, so we've got some good context here with regards to this bacillus. Now let's move on to the questions. Okay, the first question, 1.1, asks us to define the term prokaryotic. Okay, and if we've studied our work well, we'll know that a prokaryotic cell is where we have nuclear material that is free inside the cytoplasm. It's not bound by a membrane, so we can refer to a prokaryotic cell as not having a true nucleus or not having genetic material that is bound by a membrane. Okay, 1.2, now we're only identifying labels A, D, and G. I know that in your worksheet it asks you about label E, so I'm going to include that in my answering as well. So if I identify parts A, D, and G, this should be pretty quick because we did it when we got context to this question. So we have A being the slime capsule or the slime layer, D the cytoplasm, but we're including label E here as nucleic acid, which is either DNA or RNA, and we're going to identify label G as the flagella. Now you'll see question 1.3 asks us a little bit more about the flagella. It asks us to state the function. Now the flagella will allow bacteria to move as it tries to propel itself forward in its environment. So it's definitely one of those important structures when it comes to a bacterium, allowing it to move from place to place. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed going through this question 1 with me. I hope you've learned something. Join me for future videos in this section on microorganisms for grade 11. I'm very glad that you've joined me today, and join me again.